Happy Friday, everybody.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome back to another Shit Talk Fridays. I'm Gina.
And I'm Evo.
And tonight we're drinking a gnarled vine again, which is a wine that I love. It's vegan, it's slamming, and it doesn't give you like a raisin hangover the next day, even though I've been doing particularly well with that lately.
We're kind of picking up where we left off last week, kind of with this.
Well, we had 2 bottles of this,
Exactly.
so we were a good little boy and girl, and we didn't drink at all during this week. So let's cheers. Thank you for waiting for me today, because Evo usually just dives right in. Cheers to everybody in the audience.
Cheers.
Alrighty.
Very nice.
Very nice. It's very nice.
I really enjoy that one.
Yes, I mean that's why we got 2 bottles of it.
Yes.
So why don't you start us off for the night, Evo, telling our lovely audience what we'll be talking about.
All right.
I think we have some fun topics for you.
So this week, we will be discussing once iconic streetwear and clothing brands. And so we're basically like kind of talking about things that were like popping to us. I mean, I feel like this is like really kind of catered to the stuff that we used to like, because there's so many other brands, and we have a few here, and I'm sure that there's there's going to be some mentions in here that I'm not bringing up that people are probably going to feel like should be on this list. So first and foremost, this brand right here was like how do I even describe this? This was like, if you was urban, but you wanted to like state that you had a little bit of money, and you didn't want to do the polo like everybody was doing, because that's what that was at that time. Like, if you were wearing polo, you were urban, but you had a little money,
You could afford to shop in Macy's.
You could afford to shop at Macy's. And I feel like that this was Polo's, this was this company's answer to Polo.
This was this company's rival, I feel like.
Yes. And the company that we're talking about is Nautica.
Yo, I literally had the same jacket.
Yo, that's exactly why I picked this picture, because I had the same jacket. I was like, damn, that's a throwback.
I told you to pull up pictures of yourself.
Well, I mean, there's some.
Yeah, you didn't want people to see.
Listen, Linda. All right,
okay.
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Are you speeding?
Okay. I got pumped the brakes.
Yeah, you got pumped the brakes a little bit.
All right.
So this brand right here, believe it or not, they are
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. This company was like it was like the preppy version of streetwear, is like what I like to call it. You know?
I feel like in high school, if you wore polo or if you wore Nautica, you had like a little bit of prep to you. Like you potentially could have been considered preppy, but you had to wear it a certain way. So it had to be a Nautica jacket with like some sort of like polo style shirt with it, or t-shirt. Right? With a pair of khakis or a pair of jeans. But it had to be the light Ashley wash jeans with a pair of Eastlands or a pair of polo boots with your pants tucked inside the boot.
Eastlands, yo. Those were...
I had them.
I had a pair of Eastlands too.
And that's the only way you could wear it. Like, other than that, you were not fucking cool.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel like that you had to take the whole Nautica style. Like, so Nautica is like a seaman's type of sportswear.
It's boating.
Yeah. Seaman, boating. And
are they the same? Seaman and a person who is like does
because
boats and yachts.
Yeah, they're at sea.
When you say seaman, you know what I think?
I said seaman.
Seaman, okay.
Yeah. Because trust me, I made sure I didn't say semen. I don't know nobody coming from me.
Wait.
All right.
The first thing I thought about was that show that you used to watch all the time when they used to go get crab.
Shit. Damn, it's been a long time since I've seen that show. Deadliest Catch.
Yeah, the Deadliest Catch.
Yeah.
So when you said seaman,
they're not wearing Nautica.
I know, but that's what I was like.
Definitely not wearing.
I was
Nautica.
like,
no,
I don't put the two together. I imagine some like preppy ass kid on a yacht wearing this
or
shit.
like some people that like sail yachts, with the big sails on them, and they're like, they got like a team of like people and like everybody's got money.
Yeah.
And so like I felt like you had to like almost like remix that style with an urban twist to it in order to stay true to like the Nautica brand, the Nautica vision. You know what I mean? But I just felt like that. You almost felt like, you know, you kind of like lived that lifestyle a little bit, you know, when you got that, you know, those Nautica clothes. Because I mean, you couldn't just get those anywhere. Like, you really had to go like to the mall and like go a little bit to the higher end brands, you know, and spend a little bit of money.
I would agree with you in saying that you kind of felt like you had a little bit of money.
Yeah, right.
But true story, you really didn't, because you probably spent the only $120 that you had on that Nautica jacket, and it wasn't even like the full, because you know they had, see that one there that we have in the picture, that's a 1 layer. You know, Nautica had those like 2-layer ones, which was kind of also like Columbia at the time, because a lot of these jackets came out in like the 2 layers, and the 120 could only get you the 1-layer ones. You couldn't even get the one with the 2nd layer in it, and because those were like 180.
Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, I didn't really, you didn't see me at the mall buying too many of these, because once Canal Street opened up and they started bootlegging, I was, boy.
Did you really?
I was splurging. What? Come on now.
You wore bootleg clothes?
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
You never wore bootleg clothes?
No.
You never went down to Canal Street and bought anything bootleg?
No.
Wow.
No. So.
Yo, they used to have these stores. They used to have like these buildings.
I know.
Right?
I know of them because my dad actually one time brought me a bootleg, I think Tommy Hilfiger sweater. And I remember it came in like this plastic wrapping, which is not how fucking Tommy Hilfiger things come. And I remember just being like, I don't want to wear this, because I immediately think about the Biggie song. You want to see the inside? See you later.
Nah, but they were doing a good job with those.
Oh, it literally was like a Tommy Hilfiger with the logo sewed onto a Hanes sweater.
But he was talking about they were sewing tigers on the shirts.
Yeah, they were doing La Tigre or La Costa.
Yeah, so
and they were doing it on bullshit shirts, and that's how some of the stuff from Canal Street looked. Not all of it was as good.
Nah, man, as soon as they started pumping this stuff in from China, I'm telling you, it was official.
Yeah, I've actually never. I think one time I had a bootleg Coach bag, but it wasn't because I didn't buy it. Somebody gave it to me as a gift. And what I thought was really funny is that I was like, this is a bootleg. And like, I was still very appreciative of the gift, but at the same time I was like, why couldn't you just get me like a regular purse? I would have appreciated a regular purse over a bootleg purse. And I'm not saying that I never wore bootleg because like I had money. I just wore clothes that were no name brand.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it wasn't that I had money to buy things that were expensive. I just wore things that were very basic. And to be honest, I probably raided my parents' closets.
Yeah, my paycheck was not stretching for me to go to the mall and get a whole new like wardrobe.
Paycheck?
Yeah, when I was working at Snuffy's.
You were in high school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. How old are you?
That was like when I was like 17.
Okay, all right. So, because I'm like, I think of high school, I think of all 4 years of high school. So that was like what, like your junior year?
Yeah. And plus, like, you know, I mean, I don't remember exactly like what age I was, but I do remember taking trips to the city with my friends, you know, and we would go hit the spot up, and you know, somehow they would know like where to go, and I would just.
How is it that I'm originally from New York and I wasn't doing that? You from Jersey and you was doing that?
Because in Jersey we didn't have like a lot of resources when it came to clothing like that. You had your downtown area, like it's all like in Plainfield. You had the downtown area where like, you know, there was the urban stores, but.
No, you're always dropping where you live.
That's where I used to live.
You like the Plainfield area.
You know, and they had the urban stores, and you could just go there. But they would, you know, those stores, they kind of had like their own line of stuff that they sold, and a lot of just generic stuff. So if you really wanted like the name brand stuff, you had to either go to the mall or you had to go to the city. You know, and you wanted to make the most of your money. You wanted to stretch that dollar, so you know.
Yeah, I never really did that. I think the furthest I've ever gone to buy something less expensive that was name brand was going to like TJ Maxx or Marshalls and getting things little, like that were like past season or something like that. But yeah, I can't recall me wearing anything bootleg. And I had a very interesting style in high school, so like I subscribed to some of these styles, but I also wore many other things. So like I didn't get caught up in like the whole like, oh, I have to wear name brand clothing all of the time, otherwise I'm gonna be looked at like I don't got it like that, because I had a preppy style, I had a goth style, I had a street style, I just had different styles. So
Right.
like I never really kind of fell into that. Every now and I want to say probably my first year of high school, I was like, oh shit, I kind of got to have this stuff, because like I didn't really know who the fuck I was when I was 14. It took me a little time to figure it out. But once I figured it out, I was like, I don't give a shit about this stuff. I'm whatever the fuck I want. And then what wound up happening was a lot of the times that I would catch people mimicking what I was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not to,
Gina was
like,
setting trends in high school.
I mean, you know. So yeah,
yes.
definitely. Nautica was. You know what's surprising to me is that I feel like the rival to Nautica was either Polo or Tommy Hilfiger,
Yeah.
and they're both still around.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to say that they're well and thriving.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand what was the downfall of Nautica if those brands are still thriving, because
Well,
they're still pumping out the same shit.
Believe it or not, right? So Nautica actually has been making a comeback.
Okay.
So little Yachty, he's been. I'm sorry.
What?
What was so
No,
funny?
because you said Lil Yachty, so I'm thinking like, you know, like he's a little yacht.
Well, that's the whole.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea behind it. Is like his name, Little Yachty. He started rocking Nautica clothing to kind of like go with his name. Yes, and so he kind of like brought light to the brand again through his, his social media
Isn't
presence.
it always through the culture?
Of course, it's
through
always
the hip hop culture
Yeah.
that these streetwear that these brands are then kind of flipped over into streetwear, and then they blow up.
Yeah.
Through the culture. Like I can't tell you how many times I saw something in a music video of somebody wearing something, and then everybody wanted to wear that shit.
Yeah.
So we're probably gonna start seeing kids wearing Nautica.
I think that kind of came and went already, but
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
But still, it's. I mean,
I must-
that just goes to show how much it really came back, right?
I must have not been paying
We definitely
attention.
missed that boat. No pun intended.
We missed that
We
yacht.
missed that yacht.
Oh, but I love Nautica, the yellow
Yeah.
and the blue. I wore that shit.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the hell out of that clothing brand. But next is a clothing brand that it's one of the iconic clothing brands that's really not around no more, but it's unique because it's still to this day black owned. And that company is FUBU.
Oh, for us by us.
For us by us.
I actually used to live in the town where the factory was for FUBU.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Sayreville, New Jersey.
Yeah. So this guy, Damon John, believe it or not, when
He's on Shark Tank.
he's on Shark Tank, yeah, and when his brand blew up, when he got.
Look at this. Go ahead. I'm listening
What
to
am I
you.
looking at? You're pointing. What are you pointing
Yeah,
at?
no, I'm for you to look this way.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like looking at my notes.
I know. You weren't. You were looking at the screen. But go ahead, continue.
Boy, here we go. His brand blew up when he got Salt and Pepper and LL Cool J to wear his clothing.
Why don't I remember that?
So the moment that his brand really blew up was when LL Cool J wore a FUBU hat on a commercial that he was shooting for Guess. And he had.
How the fuck did that happen?
So that's the whole, like, the crazy thing about it is that. So LL Cool J has a pair of Guess jeans on, a Guess shirt on, and somehow he like convinced the I guess the production team to allow him to wear his hat, and nobody knew what FUBU was.
Oh.
Yes.
He was just like, oh, this is my hat.
Yeah, he's like, I just want you to, like, I want to wear my hat. And he's LL Cool J at the time, so like they let him do it, and then he did this rhyme on the commercial, and he snuck in. He was like something for us by us in the Gap commercial.
Yo, I think I remember this.
Yes, and it blew up. And then, like, it wasn't until like months later that Guess finally picked up, or Gap. I'm sorry, I might be saying, I forgot which company it was. Let me just look at my notes real quick here. Yes, Gap. It was a Gap commercial.
Okay.
And it wasn't until months later that they realized what had happened, and they pulled the commercial, and they fired a bunch of people because they were giving free advertising to FUBU the
Fuck.
whole time.
Did they sue them?
Huh? No.
Did Gap sue
They
FUBU?
Can't. It was LL Cool J who said the rhyme.
Okay, but
LL
could they sue LL Cool J?
I mean, honestly, I didn't see anything about a lawsuit or anything like that. I don't think so. Especially if it wasn't like part of his contract where he couldn't, like that wasn't like detailed in his contract. Because I don't see LL Cool J like really putting himself out there like that. But it was a move to promote the For Us By Us brand. I mean, that was a big movement. This was a clothing brand that came out where it was designed to connect with the like it was like a missing link in fashion and like urban communities. And so For Us By Us, this was supposed to be representation of like urban community. They felt like all of the clothing brands that were out there at the time, were heavily influenced by people outside of that urban community.
Yeah, which is 100% true.
Yeah, and another fact that you didn't know about is that when LL Cool J shot that commercial, Damon John was actually working at Red Lobster. His company was like nothing, but he was still big in his community and like behind the scenes with like entertainment and artists and things like that and promoting his brand. And that he got Salt and Pepper and LL Cool J to wear his brand. He only had a couple of shirts. He didn't really have like a whole line of clothing, and it went from that to like multi-million-dollar business, which is crazy.
The minute that you said Red Lobster, I just talk about those cheese biscuits.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine back in the day, actually, funny story, when I used to live in Sayreville where the factory was for FUBU, my friend and we used to live together, and she worked at Red Lobster. And when she used to come home, I used to be like,
those biscuits.
Well, she used to bring home biscuits all the time, but when you work in the restaurant business, if you work in a place that is predominantly one type of food, you come home smelling like that food. So she would come home smelling like seafood, and she would try to chit chat with me when she first came home, and I'd be like, listen, I love you, homegirl, but like you need to go shower and take off those clothes because you reek of shrimp right now, and I can't even concentrate because it wasn't even appealing. It was kind of like overwhelming at that time. So
she just stepped off a boat.
Yeah, she just stepped off a yacht.
I don't know about a yacht. You're not gonna step off a yacht smelling like that, but definitely
she was
like a fisherman's
hanging out
boat.
with the seamen.
Yeah.
Seaman,
Seaman,
whatever
seaman.
the fuck. You guys know what I mean, and ladies.
Yeah. So I thought that was just an interesting, fun fact about that whole story. I just, I didn't. It's amazing, like the struggle that some of these people go through, and before they actually end up making it.
No, that's what my tattoo says. Where there's no struggle, there's no strength.
There's no strength. Yes, absolutely.
You have to go through the struggle to really understand what it is that what you want for yourself and what you don't want for yourself. Yeah. Because only failure will teach you what you don't want. You're like, I don't like the way that feels. Let's not do that shit again.
You gotta lose a couple before you start winning.
But I feel like a lot of brands that are street culture derived, they get their popularity through the entertainment industry. They get it through hip hop. Like a clothing brand gets an artist to wear a piece of their clothing, and on top of that, you have other products that are promoted through the hip hop culture, like liquor, sunglasses.
Yep.
There's a multitude of things that are promoted through that industry that I don't think a lot of people realize that.
But mainly fashion.
Yes, I would say that fashion is at the core of
course,
like of that culture. But what I find so interesting about that is like these companies will profit heavily off of hip hop culture, but the moment something goes sideways, they're like,
cancel them.
We don't want nothing to do with that.
Get them out of here.
Even though we made $7 billion, we gotta go. We don't co-sign that shit. We know that this person is, said, or like, for example, when we talked about the baby, he had some things that some companies that he was working with, and they got rid of him ASAP. And he basically said in a tweet, he said, I'm going to paraphrase because this is not exactly what he said, but he basically said, you got to take the good with the bad because this is part of hip hop culture. I'm going to say and do things as such.
Mm-hmm.
So either you take it or you leave it type shit.
Yeah.
And unfortunately they left it. But he basically was saying it was good for you until a certain point. You know, you were making that money off of me until a certain point, which means that, you know, like how you say, Evo, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So
Yep.
these brands that these people,
They're quick
these
to write you
people,
off.
yeah, these people that they connect with, at the end, it's like, yeah, you made us, you know, however many dollars, but we gotta go. See you later.
Because you know what? At the end of the day, there's always another promising talent right around the corner.
That is 1,000% true.
You know what I'm saying? So as soon as they're able to like squeeze you to like you don't there's nothing in you no more. They're looking for any reason just to be like, see you later.
It's unfortunate, but it's fortunate at the same time. It's unfortunate for the person that gets canceled, but then it's fortunate
it gives
for the
opportunity to the next person.
it gives opportunity to the next person. And what is interesting about that is that you would think that people would kind of learn and do things differently. And an example I have of that is Rihanna. So Rihanna partnered with MAC Cosmetics, and I know this because I worked for the brand for quite a long time, and she was smart. She partnered with them, got a little taste of that industry, and then she goes, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna make my own shit.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's a billionaire.
Yeah. She got what's that, Fenty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has lingerie. She has a makeup line, and she is part of the $1 billion club now, which is a very small club especially when it comes to women. So I would think,
and even more so, hip hop women,
and people of color as a whole.
right?
Like,
But even more so, like if you narrow that down, she's a musician at core.
Yes.
You know, so to be a musician, billionaire, black.
Yeah. There's like 3.
Yeah. What?
It's like her, Beyonce, and fucking Jay-Z, and that's about it. Oh, and Kanye.
But I mean, even more so, female. It's just her and Beyonce. Black music, billionaire females. Did I say that
Billionaire? I actually don't know for certain, but I would maybe put Mariah Carey in that category.
No, I don't think she's in that. I don't think she's up in the billions because she doesn't have like a
her Christmas album is like,
yes, it is, and it earns her lots of money, but she doesn't.
I need to know.
She doesn't. I don't feel like she has like a catalog the way like or investments the way that Beyonce, excuse me, the way Beyonce and Rihanna have.
So why don't you take us to the next one while I look up if Mariah Carey is a billionaire or not?
All
Because now I gotta know.
Yeah. So this next one was another black-owned company.
Ooh.
But unfortunately that they don't own the company anymore. But this company was established, and it was fashion that was marketed to the black youths. And the clothing was like used to broadcast like political messages basically. And that brand is Cross Colors.
That fucking shirt is fire.
Yeah, it is.
I would rock the shit out of that shirt.
Not
right
for nothing.
now.
When I was looking up their pictures of their clothing, you can still buy some of their clothing, and some of the outfits, some of the pieces of clothing that just online. I felt like I saw that there was links and there was prices to these clothing. Like
on secondhand sites.
I don't remember the exact name of the sites. You're gonna have to look it up. But
okay.
I did see that you can buy them. The overalls that I showed you, that you could buy those.
I'd fucking wear that shirt in a heartbeat.
Right. Even the overalls were dope. But the overalls, they were like $200 and something.
Yeah. I thought the overalls were nice. That's not something I would wear.
Yeah.
But that shirt, that shirt is me all day, every day, on any given Sunday, 365 days a year.
You know what's funny, right? Is that as I look at this shirt, I remember my brother used to buy cross-color stuff. And I used to steal his clothes all the time.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Your brother's not a small fellow.
No, he's not.
So I would only could imagine how that clothing.
He's a lot slimmer now, but back then he was not. And I used to steal his clothes and wear them. So imagine what I used to look like.
You look like
a
sack of potatoes.
I look like a nautical sail is what I look like.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and he used to get so mad.
But you know what? That was the style back then. So nobody
baggy was the style.
Nobody probably even thought twice about it.
Yeah.
Like maybe even the baggier the better.
Yeah,
type
you know
shit.
what though? I'm glad there's no pictures that exist of me
No,
wearing
there's
these
no
clothes.
evidence?
There's no evidence because yes, we say that okay, yeah, baggy was the thing back then, but it looked like I was that guy that was like OD in it. Like there's fashion trends right now that some people OD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have the tight pants and like some people, you know, they you know, like they're super tight and they're like all the way down, like they're OD. That was me wearing my brother's baggy clothing back then. So that was like the equivalent to that. And I'm so glad that there's not a picture floating around of me wearing that stuff. But yes.
But Cross Colors for me was that brand that I only had maybe one, potentially two pieces. And when I did wear it, I wore it with my pants backwards because Cross Colors came out around the time of Crisscross.
Crisscross, yeah.
So it was like I wore it with my pants backwards, and I matter of fact, I had a Cross Colors hoodie, but it wasn't a hoodie like of sweater material. It was a hoodie of t-shirt material. And I think you know what I'm talking about. It was just like a long sleeve hoodie, but it was t-shirt material. So, and I had it and I wore it like tucked in just in the front.
Yeah.
With like the back sagging. And I think I want to say I wore it with a pair of Reebok Classics, if I remember correctly.
I don't know. I was working with whatever.
It may have even been Reebok Uptown Classics. You know what I'm talking about? The ones with the double strap on top. I may have wore it like that because those sneakers were very heavily influenced by Salt and Pepper. But yeah, I potentially only maybe had two pieces of Cross Colors, and it was something that I could only buy. Where would you buy this for you? Like, and I'll tell you where I would get it. Because like, I wonder, because you lived in New Jersey and I lived in New York. So like, I wonder where you would buy this at.
Back then?
I mean, obviously not now.
Well, I mean, I just told you that you could still buy it.
Yeah. But where would you, if you were to have bought it when you were younger?
I would think it would be at the mall.
Yeah, but like, is there not like a specific store?
I couldn't tell you because I never bought Cross Colors. Like I said, my brother used to buy it.
Okay.
And I used to take his.
All right, you gonna phone a friend and call Mike and ask him?
Do I get a lifeline call right now?
I used to buy this at VIM.
Okay.
VIM was like the spot to go to if you wanted anything urban. So they had sneakers, and it was a type of sneakers store / clothing store that they had sneakers in the plastic wrap. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where like it was like that because so many people were looking at them. Yeah. But yeah, Cross Colors, and you go there, you get Cross Colors, FUBU, you know, anything urban, anything streetwear, you got it there. But it blows my mind because I remember walking into VIM feeling like, damn, I really don't have any money to shop here. I may be able to get one shirt or one pair, like potentially not even jeans, because the jeans were a little bit more expensive. And now there may be like one VIM in existence, like in Brooklyn somewhere. And I just worked with someone on set the other day, and I was like, "Oh, these sneakers are cool. Where'd you get them from?" And they were like, "Oh, I got them from VIM for $20." And I was like, "Damn."
Oh shit, it's still open?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
There's like one in Brooklyn, and it was a pair of like uptown, like not uptown, excuse me, high top Filas.
Yeah, I remember.
And they were cool looking.
I feel like I was listening to the commercial on the radio. It was a VIM commercial. Yes.
Yeah, and if you shopped at VIM frequent enough, you got a VIM card.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you know
You family, huh? You was family?
Those were the days. No, I never got one. I didn't shop
right.
frequently enough, but I knew you could get one. So that was like, they were like, I guess a little bit ahead of their game as far as like the loyalty rewards program and stuff like that. I don't know what the fuck the card did for you because I never got one because I couldn't afford to shop in VIM that frequent. We will get to the stores that I used to shop at later on in the evening because Gina couldn't afford shit until I started working for myself, but then I had children and then really couldn't afford shit. So, and optimistically cynical, welcome to the stream. This person says, "Don't have any jokes worthy of your time. Have a good weekend. I'm out."
All right, brother. You have yourself a good weekend, man. Take care and be safe out there.
So what else have you have
so
for us?
This next brand is this was a brand that mixed hip hop and skating culture together. Yeah, and it was by a gentleman. I don't want to say his name yet because it will give away the name of the brand.
Okay.
But he was Rutgers University student who had a passion.
Oh, where?
Rutgers. Right? Did I get that correctly? Yeah. Yeah. He was
Rutgers University?
he's a
Okay.
Rutgers University student going there for pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a passion for graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like where the brand was born.
Okay.
And his father had a collection of animal pieces, and somehow he just put together, because you had Polo and you had La Tigra and you had Lacoste, they were all animals, and he was like kind of like passionate about fashion, skating and graffiti and things like that, and trying to put something together, and decided to come up with his own animal logo.
Mm-hmm.
And the company that I'm talking about
Oh shit! Now I remember.
is Echo Unlimited.
And
so the rhino was a statue of collectibles that his father used to collect.
Oh wow!
And that's where he got the idea. And so he just came up with this kind of like his own version of fashion for skateboarding and streetwear and graffiti, and designed the rhino around it.
I had no fucking clue, and that's so goddamn cool.
Yeah.
I never owned anything Echo, and the reason for that is I feel like Echo was more menswear than it was women's wear.
It definitely was.
Yeah, and I think and if it was derived from the skater culture, I feel like a long time ago there were like probably almost no female skaters, whereas now I feel like we're on the rise of women skaters or skateboard skaters, because I don't want to confuse it with any other type of skating. Echo was definitely never something that I purchased or wore, not because I didn't think the clothing was nice looking. I just felt like a lot more men wore it.
Yeah.
And whereas I love to dress masculine, this was a type of masculine wear that I didn't gravitate towards.
I actually enjoyed
yes,
this
you
brand,
did.
and I actually have a picture of me back in the day.
Oh shit, you did get a picture.
Rocking
I was
some of my Echo gear here. This is me with my heavy duty Echo leather and my Echo Safari hat. This is back when I was heavy into the urban streetwear.
I'm so happy. I was like, yo, Evo, you got to pull up some of these pictures of you with this bullshit on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely never owned a piece of Echo. You look so cute in that picture.
You know what's funny, right? This is back when like they were like the leather jackets were big, like the 8-ball jackets, the polo jackets,
the ones that people were getting beat up in the street for.
The Averex jackets.
I don't know why I'm so itchy today, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I
feel like I'm itchy over here. I'm itching over here. My eyeballs is itching. It's weird.
Yeah. So like, and I really like, and I was the type of person that I always tried to like, just be a little different than the masses. Mm-hmm. And nobody was really like heavy into Echo that I hung out with. So like it was a brand that I gravitated towards because like it set me apart from like everybody else that I hung out with. And when everybody was buying leather jackets, I found this Echo leather, and I had to have it. I think I paid like almost $400 for that leather.
That reminds me of the starter jackets.
Yeah.
I used to have a Bull starter jacket, and why I had a Bull starter jacket, and I'm originally from New York, who the fuck knows? Because it's probably because Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. I said it. And he was avidly playing in the 90s, and Chicago Bulls was that team. And I'm sorry, the Knicks
Bulls was that team.
The Knicks were not really doing it until about 94 when they made it to the oh my God, what is it called? I'm like drawing a blank right now. When they play 7 games.
Into the championships? The finals.
The finals, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like totally drawing a blank. Yeah, they made it to the finals, and I remember it's when it was Scottie Pippen and not Scottie Pippen, he was on the Bulls. I'm sorry. It was John Stockton and Patrick Ewing. And what was the other player on the Knicks at the time? And I was an avid basketball watcher because I used to play basketball until everybody got taller than me and I had to stop playing. However, I didn't own a Knicks starter jacket. This bitch went and got a Bulls one. Fucking mad disrespectful. And Vanessa, welcome to the stream. She says, classic pick. And then Vanessa says, I had Echo. That bucket hack. And then Vanessa says, that bucket hat is back. And yo, Mr. Jones.
I have to get
Welcome to the stream. He says, "Yo, what happened to Echo?" So I mean, I feel like what happened to Echo is what happened to a lot of these brands.
Well, so
unless you know something I don't know.
I did a little research into what happened to Echo, and so this is the classic story of what not to do with a fashion clothing line. And so supposedly he didn't know when to cut
Who's
ties.
he? Tell me his
Mark
name again.
Echo.
Mark Echo. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so
That's
supposedly Mark Echo didn't know when to cut ties. Like he basically like led the company into financial ruins, where he was forced to sell his shares of the company to try to like pay back debts that he had with the company and stuff like that. And it was one of those things, like I guess it was his baby, and even though like when things were going awry, instead of handing it over and selling it while the iron was hot, it was just something that like it just went wickedly, it just spiraled out of control.
Which I feel like that happens to a lot of these companies.
Yes and no. I feel like a lot of these people, they sell when they're being offered to be bought out, they sell, and he didn't do that.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, it was like, no, this is my company. I'm gonna take this. I guess he felt like the brand was so big that he was gonna like be the next Gap, or be the next Polo or something like that, And
Mr. Jones says that he had a starter jacket.
I think we all did.
He had a Bulls. Damn right, you had a Bulls starter jacket.
I had the Raiders starter jacket.
I actually didn't have a Raiders starter jacket. I had a Raiders hat, a fitted hat. Why did I have a Raiders fitted hat? Who the fuck knows?
That black and white Raiders starter jacket was tough, man.
But do you know that I almost got jumped in the sixth grade for my Bulls starter jacket on the school bus?
Wow.
Yeah, but they didn't know that I was Mighty Mouse.
What the?
And I bite. Yeah. So they wasn't getting that jacket from me. But yeah, that's how serious it was back then. When you grew up in the streets, like you walk through the wrong area, you got something on nice, you'll run that shit.
Interestingly enough, that was like my play on being able to rock a leather without getting jumped for a leather, because not a lot of people were up on Echo. Everybody wanted the 8-ball jackets, or the
people were getting cut for those in New York.
The Averex jackets, or the polo jackets. I remember my boy Ralph, he let me wear his polo. He had a black and white polo leather jacket. He let me wear it to the mall one time, and they tried to jump me for it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I fought because not only was it,
you were like, nah, this ain't. You can't steal this because it ain't even my jacket.
Not only was I not trying to get jumped for a jacket, but I wasn't trying to lose my man's jacket. Like he let me rock it, which was like, it's my man's in there. Like
no.
Imagine I come back and I'm like, yo, I got jumped for your jacket, but I probably would have got beat up by him too. So.
So Mr. Jones says, "Fuck that! I'm about to start. I'm wearing FUBU again."
Yo, listen.
I would be interested to know where is it online?
FUBU tried to come back with it was, instead of FUBU, they rebranded it as FB Fashion or FB something.
Okay.
And obviously it
didn't take off.
Didn't take off because we don't know. Nobody knows about it. But they did, because it was so successful that, of course, why not try to take a stab at rebranding it and
the original,
because like I said,
Damon Jones. Well, he still owns it, but he also owns quite of other things. He was a successful businessman.
Yes.
So him losing or FUBU folding wasn't the end of the original owner of it, which I think is a good thing because it was black owned. Okay, so that was Averex, right?
Yeah.
Do you have
no? That was Echo.
Oh, sorry. Did I just fucking spill the beans?
No, you didn't. Because I kind of looked at Averex, but then I came across another brand that
you felt like that was more prominent than Averex.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, again, Averex wasn't a brand that I didn't own any of their clothing, but I knew very well what Averex was.
A lot of people wore Averex,
and it was part of that culture. It's part of that street culture.
Funny thing was that Averex was a military brand.
Even the name sounds military.
Yeah, it was a military brand that then got marketed towards urban fashion.
What's interesting is that you say a military brand. I actually used to shop at a military store in the old town that I used to work in. It was a military and Navy store, and that's where I got my fatigues from. And my fatigues are original Army fatigues. Yeah. They're not like just some bullshit ones.
That's where you want to go to buy fatigues, like for real, like because then you'll have the.
It was an Army Navy store, and I also had. I also had a crossbody bag. Fuck, I don't know what happened to that.
A crossbody Army fatigue?
Yeah, it was like a crossbody green fatigue crossbody bag. Yeah, fuck, now that I think about it, I don't know what the fuck happened to that. I love that bag. That store has since closed. It actually turned into the look. They closed the original Army Navy store, and then they opened like another one where you could get uniforms from, and that's where we used to get our kids' uniforms from.
Oh yes, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I remember now.
Yeah.
That's an interesting story.
But yeah, I used to fucking love going to that store because I always wanted to be a military brat, and I could never. That just didn't play out for me. So being able to go into that store, I felt like I was kind of dipping my feet in the Army world. And Mr. Jones says, flight jackets, yo, I had them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is this a flight? Is it Averix flight or is it just no? It's isn't that Nike?
The flight jackets. You know what?
Or am I?
I remember the name. I just
am I totally misconstruing what it is you're saying? Cause look, now we have to look it up. Mr. Jones, you fucking threw us for a loop. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's talking about like a Air Force style,
like a bomber jacket.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, or even like it looks like the
Carhartt came out with
the peak coats.
Yeah.
Kind of like, or what is it?
Yeah, Carhartt came out with a lot of those jackets. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Jones. They had the bomber jacket.
The bomber
Carhartt.
jackets, yes.
And them shits were expensive as fuck.
Hell yeah.
And they were black or green on the outside and orange on the inside.
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
And that was another brand that really hit the urban.
Yeah, well,
urban community.
Carhartt still is still very much around, and a lot of people in the work world still wear them. But I think they
it was always a workforce type of brand, but then it like crossed over into urban.
Streetwear.
Yeah,
to streetwear, because that tends to happen. I think right now our oldest son wears Carhartt pants, and it's part of like that style of street culture. But it's still, but they're painter's pants.
Right.
Now that I think about it, I actually saw a pair that I wanted to get. You just reminded me. Oh, he said, "What about Coogee sweaters?"
So funny, funny thing is that Fubu actually had a partnership with Coogee.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes, they did.
The minute that you say Coogee, I just think about Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
Because that was his shit.
The
Coogee sweaters.
Yeah.
I actually found a Coogee sweater. I thrifted it. But then when I went to go buy, I noticed that it had a small hole in it.
Damn.
I was like, fuck.
That sucks.
Because I probably would have resold it, but I didn't know how to like fix it. Because I've come across some interesting pieces throughout my time. So you said that we weren't going to talk about Averex. Can you tell me what it was?
I have one more that I want to talk about. And I just feel like that this brand right here definitely merits some notoriety, only because it was like such a big brand. And it's funny, like you don't think about it anymore, but once I say the name, you're gonna remember like, wow, this brand was heavy.
Shit was heavy.
Shit was
heavy.
And the fashion brand that I'm talking about is Sean John.
Yo.
And especially like these Sean John sweats were like everything. Like if you had the top and the bottoms to these, like you were a fucking star. You really were. And the funny thing is that like Sean John, his clothing brand was more of like a luxury design type
puffy.
It's puffy. That's puffy all day. He came out with like this, and he had the puffy furs and stuff like that, and all types of just silk and like fluffy kind of like material and stuff like that. And I honestly felt like that this brand of clothing resonated more with the fashion industry and the fashion designers more than it actually did with the people.
Of street culture, you
yes,
think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
I feel like it did a little. I mean, a lot of his more expensive stuff, like his more flamboyant things, the stuff that you would see on the runway. Because again, remember, like Puffy was on runway. There's a lot of celebrities that their careers started as models for Sean John. Some of them being Tyson Beckford.
Oh yes, I remember
Channing Tatum.
Oh really?
Channing Tatum was a
Sean John model.
Was a Sean John model, and Paris Hilton.
That's hot.
That's hot. So like this.
Paris Hilton didn't need to be a fucking Sean John model. She is the heiress to
the Hilton, but still
she's Conrad Hilton's granddaughter.
But being who she is as her own person.
Yeah. He put her on a platform.
Yes, definitely did.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean his brand. At one point, I think from 2008 to 2010, they were his like top year. They were grossing like $512 million in revenue. You know, and they were in all department stores. I mean, this brand was big.
Yeah, well, I mean, he moved on to Ciroc, so
Yeah.
he fucking
I mean, listen,
Sean John don't miss.
he definitely don't miss. He Harlem shake his way through like the fashion industry.
But he's
right
not from Harlem though.
Huh?
He's not from Harlem.
He's not from Harlem.
Puffy, no, he don't you remember in the documentary, he lived outside of Harlem. He used to actually be somewhat like afraid to go into Harlem.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I was specifically remember that being stated that he didn't live in Harlem. And maybe like he's originally from Harlem and he moved outside of Harlem, but like by the time he was an executive or an up and coming executive at Def Jam,
Yeah.
he wasn't living in Harlem. And then Vanessa says, Def, velour sweatsuits all the way, but what about Rocawear and apple bottoms?
You know what's funny is that I started off this list by saying there's going to be a lot of other brands out there that I know should be on the list, but this list is kind of catered to like the stuff that I used to wear.
Yeah.
But definitely not trying to take away from all these other ones like apple bottom. So an honorable mention that I wanted
got the apple bottom jeans, the boots with the fur.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these brands, they're iconic in their own way, and they represent like a culture, you know, in a time that.
Yeah, that shit was the 2000s.
Exactly.
That shit was the 2000s all the way.
You know, but another one that I briefly want to mention, but I don't want to get into, was Fat Farm.
Yeah.
Fat Farm,
well,
which eventually
I kind of feel like Fat Farm goes into Baby Fat, and that's kind of like Apple Bottom.
You know, and
it's like in that genre. And Mr. Jones says, I still will wear a velour suit out here looking like Cam.
Paid in full.
Yeah, Cameron paid in full. Cameron's a funny motherfucker.
I used to have the full velour suit.
Oh, man. I don't think I actually ever owned a velour suit, but I did have a Baby Fat winter jacket with the fur, because once J-Lo wore that shit and Jenny from the Block, I was I need that.
Every girl had to have that.
I need that fucking jacket.
So Mr. Jones says Puff is from Harlem.
Okay.
Let's find out.
No, it's fine. I believe that Mr. Jones is correct, but I do remember in the documentary about Biggie, Puff at one point left Harlem, and he was like leery about being in Harlem or going to where Biggie was from.
Combs was born November 4th, 1969 in Manhattan's Harlem, in New York City. He was born there.
Yeah, but
then he was raised in Mount Vernon.
See that? Okay, so I'm correct. He was born in Harlem, but he lived in Mount Vernon. So I'm correct. He didn't grow up in Harlem. He didn't grow up in Harlem. He lived right outside, and he knew the street life, but like he didn't know the street life. He wasn't out in these streets. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, Mr. Jones says I had a South Pole one. I mean, I think he's
South Pole. Yes, that was another brand.
Okay, so South Pole was definitely again, South Pole was a brand that I did not own myself. I felt like it was definitely more geared towards menswear, men's streetwear, and it was a little too men's streetwear for me. I love menswear, but since it was so street, I think at that point in my life I wanted to look a little bit more ladylike, and the clothing was too like, it was meant for people with bigger bodies, and I just didn't have that at the time. So like it just didn't. I mean, I still am not a bigger person, but like the clothing, like just it wore me. I didn't wear the fucking clothes. But let's get into some of the things that I want to talk about, because it's actually 10 minutes to 9. And I think it's so funny because Evo was like, do you think that we can talk about this for an hour? And I was like, yeah. And then Evo ate up the whole fucking hour all to himself.
Not my fault.
But what's interesting is that Evo was talking about clothing brands that, you know, were once a thing and no longer are. And then that made me think about stores in a mall that were once a thing and that no longer are, because these are clothing brands, but a lot of those brands you found in department stores.
Right.
You know, like they necessarily didn't have their own store. Like you ain't never seen a fucking Echo store. You know, you bought that shit in VIM, you bought it in Macy's, you bought it in Jimmy Jazz. You know, you brought it in one of those urban stores, but it wasn't in its own particular store. But there were stores that were in the mall that, especially women, we went to particularly for certain type of clothing that no longer are. And the first one that I want to start off with, this is actually for the younger girls. This was a store that I never shopped in, again, because I couldn't fucking afford to shop in this store, and it was Delia's. I don't know if you remember Delia's, and I don't expect you. So Delia's is basically like a I'm trying to think of what's the best way. Do you remember the clothing store Justice? I used to buy my little cousin a lot of outfits from there. It was like a cute clothing store for girls, and they had kind of like the things that were trending. Anyway, Delia's was that shit. So what made Delia's so prominent is that they had this catalog, and the catalog, had pictures of like girls wearing the styles, and a lot of it was in the 90s, so a lot of it was, you know, kind of, they had them doing like, do you remember that song by the B-52s, Groove is in the Hall? Yeah. So like they had them always doing like the weirdest moves in the magazines, but it almost looked like in the catalogs, like the people in the catalogs came alive. Like, does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, maybe you were like feeling the picture and you kind of felt like, you know, you wanted to move with it, you know?
Yeah, like you would look at the catalog and you kind of felt like, oh, I could see myself wearing that at a party. Whereas like now when you go on a website, you just see like the models just like standing there. You know what I mean? Okay. And a lot of the models,
they had them like this?
Yeah, that's exactly how they would have them. Here, I have a picture for you so you could share it. I said I wasn't going to give it to you, but I'll give it to you so that you could put it up so that you could have a better idea of what I'm talking about. However, so yeah, Delia's was a store that, again, I didn't shop in because I couldn't afford to shop in Delia's. The rivalry in my mind to Delia's was Rainbows. Funny story, Delia's is not around, but Rainbows still is. And that's where I used to shop, and I could still kind of get like the same kind of clothes, but they were like a little cheaper made, but like I could still kind of get the same look. Okay. And I remember getting shoes that, like, what's so sad to me now is that the shoes are coming out now, like platform shoes with like kind of bell bottom pants with like the slouchy shirts with the string around the neck, right, with like the string in the back. You know, that's what I used to wear, and Delia's would have shit like that. So here, I'm gonna send this to you, and you'll see exactly what I mean. And I think you could kind of see the picture already. But
be sure you airdrop it to me. I
am airdropping it to you, but the issue is like it never sees your MacBook for whatever the reason. I probably have your Wi-Fi shut off, but anyway, I'm gonna send it to you.
Oh yeah, I do. You know what? There's no way I can get it. You're gonna have to text it to me.
I am. Hold on one second. So anyway, Delia's was a store that, like, I honestly, it was someplace that, like, I feel like you felt privileged to go there, and you got the cool shit from there.
Airdrop it to me, aren't you?
Huh?
So you're just gonna airdrop it to me?
What were you saying? Text it to you?
Yes.
Oh, but I could say.
Never mind.
Okay, can you? I don't know. Anyway. But while Evo picks that up, I'm going to just move on to the next store because, I don't know, I kind of got feelings about Delia's because, again, it was one of those stores that I couldn't afford to shop at. But that shit don't exist anymore, so it doesn't even matter. So, like, am I going to front and act like I don't feel kind of good about that? Because that was a store that I felt like I didn't belong in it. So the fact that it's gone, I feel like that was part of the problem.
You feel like that? Wait, say that again.
Okay. Delia's was a clothing store that I feel like that was marketed primarily to the white community.
Okay.
So I never felt like Delia's was a store that I was meant to shop in.
Whoa. So, unfortunately, oh, what just happened? All right.
Was that the
That was it.
That's fine. That's fine. You could have it all the way like that.
I just need to fix it real
Okay.
quick. Cause like,
So, if you look at this catalog image, that's what I would look at, and I felt like it was cool looking, right?
okay.
And you see how like the people in the catalog image are
Yeah, they're like-
like they're dancing, they're at a
laughing-
party.
Yeah, some laughing, got some movement going on.
Now that being
Got a
said,
little groove is in the heart over
Yeah.
here on the right hand
yeah,
side.
so that's why I said B52s is like what I think about when I think about that. I do feel like that Delia's was marketed more towards the younger white girl. It wasn't really marketed to someone like me. You know, I lived in a more urban community. I'm a person of color, so I never felt like I never felt like I belonged in Delia's.
I've honestly never even heard of this store.
Well, I mean, it was a girl clothing store, so I don't necessarily expect you to remember it, even though you did have a little sister. But like,
yeah,
whatever.
We wasn't shopping at Delia's.
So I do feel like I never felt like I belonged in Delia's. That being said, I shopped at Rainbow, and when I went to Rainbow, I saw people like me in there that shopped there, so I felt like I belonged there. I do feel like that was potentially part of the downfall when it comes to a clothing brand like this.
Yeah, the marketing.
But if you, in reflection, if you think about the other clothing brands that we talked about, Sean John, Echo, they targeted a specific type of people. When you don't appeal to the masses, I feel like that potentially could be your downfall. Because if everybody can't wear it, then after a while, the people that wore your brand, they're gonna age out.
Well, I mean, this is a classic case of not being in tune with your market.
Correct.
You know, they had a vision and they had a market like an audience that they were marketing towards, but for some reason they just didn't have the stats, you know, to let them know that they needed to switch up their marketing.
Well, Delia's does not exist anymore, but this next store that I have coming up, I definitely felt like I belonged in here, even though generally when I went in, I again didn't see people that looked like me, but I needed to be in there because when I wanted to go to the club and I wanted to get a little hoochie outfit, this is where I went. So it was either Rainbow. There was actually a store in a mall
When you
that
say Rainbow, I just think of a reading Rainbow.
yeah, Wet Seal, and
Wet
I know
Seal.
yeah.
I don't know. I never shopped at any of these stores, so like.
Well, Wet Seal didn't have men's clothing. It was exclusively a girl store, but Wet Seal always had those little daddy shirts and those little daddy outfits, and they were inexpensive. And I could run to the mall after I got out of work on a Friday or a Thursday, and I would get me a little $20, little $20-$30 outfit, and I'd be Gucci for the club that night. But Wet Seal was like many of these other brands where they reached a point where they didn't evolve. And unfortunately, when e-commerce really blew up, a lot of these brands didn't know how to evolve into e-commerce. They didn't know how to like penetrate the market through social media, through Facebook, through Instagram. And these smaller brands came up and started selling the same type of clothes that these stores were offering. And because brick and mortar, which is stores inside of a mall, started to see a decrease in store volume, or shoppers in the mall, to be exact, e-commerce was sucking that up. People shopping online, it's a click of a button, and now you got shit like Amazon where you can have something at your door the next fucking day.
What was the? I'm sorry, but this whole time I'm thinking like, what was the vision behind Wet Seal? Like,
Wet Seal. Okay.
I want my clothing brand to be named Wet
Seal.
Seal.
Okay,
like,
so Wet Seal originated in California, and it was inspired
like
from
surfers like that.
Yeah,
oh,
it was
go.
inspired. Yeah, it was inspired from California, from surfing, from the sun.
Okay, now
so
that makes
like
sense.
Wet Seal. That's where
right,
the name
like
came
Ocean
from.
Pacific.
Okay, so Mr. Jones says, why does those pics make me want to start singing? I got a pocket full of sunshine. I gotta love. That's mine. So like, I know exactly. But that's what I was saying before. Like, but that's what the catalogs would make you feel like. Not real quick. I just had a fucking thought process. when I said catalog, I thought about East Bay. Did you ever shop from East Bay catalog?
Yes.
Okay. East Bay was another like street culture thing that I feel like we maybe need to touch into that a whole nother time. But East Bay was another catalog that I used to literally look at and couldn't afford shit from that fucking catalog. I used to have to scrounge every penny up to go to fucking VIM to get something similar because East Bay had so much shit. But and then Vanessa says Wet Seal, Charlotte Russe, Rainbow, Easy Pickings.
Easy Pickings. I remember Easy Pickings.
I know that you remember Easy Pickings because that was my shit. Okay? That was my shit because we had one in our town that we moved from. And I used to be like, honey, I'll be right back. I'm going to Easy Pickings.
For real.
And I used to sometimes get the cutest shit.
That's a dope name for a store. Like Easy
Pickings?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those stores that like you went there and you could get you a little, anywhere from a $10 to a $20 outfit. And like $30 was splurging.
You know what? I feel like Forever 21.
Yeah, like fucking wiped all those stores out.
Not only that, I just feel like Forever 21 should have been named Easy Pickings because I just felt like their whole style and their whole like brand of like the way it was just very easy. Like there was just a fashion.
You think so?
I mean, from what I saw when I went there, I wasn't like deep diving into like all of the shit, but like
I would actually think the complete opposite.
Really?
Forever 21
that
is.
just goes to show you what the hell I was seeing when I saw there.
I find Forever 21, even when I was younger, very difficult to shop at because the stores were usually excessive.
Yeah, yes, but I'm not talking about.
They were just excessively large, so there was so much to look through that like it was overwhelming.
I just felt like the style of clothing was just like very much easy, like every day, like it was just nothing about it.
Well, it was fast fashion.
Yes, exactly. So I just felt like that Easy Pickings would have fit well with that fast fashion.
Listen, if you lived in the hood and you didn't shop at Rainbows or Easy Pickings, where you at? Where you at? Because can't for the $10 spot, $10 everything. So I know exactly what Vanessa's talking about.
I wish I had a $10 everything.
There wasn't a $10 spot where we were from, but if you lived in northern New Jersey, like North Bergen, and you went on Bergen Line, there was $10 spots everywhere.
Damn, I needed that in my life. $10 spot.
To be honest, can I be 100% honest? It was very difficult for young men to dress less expensive. Because for whatever the reason, men's inexpensive clothing looked extremely cheap.
Yes.
And I feel like women's clothing.
Why is that?
Well, because can we get something? You guys get so much other shit.
You know what? I'm not gonna argue with you on that. I mean, that's
a death trap. Like we give birth to children, and then our bodies go through all this other shit. So maybe we can get clothes a little less expensive because since we have to go through all these bodily changes.
I just think it's so funny that women can go to a store, and not that I'm hating. I just find it interesting.
Yeah. That
women can go to a store and pick out a shirt for like $6, and it be fucking fly as hell. Let me go buy a $6 shirt, and I'm gonna tell you sorry that shit looked like it got made in fucking in your neighbor's basement by like somebody who got.
I'm not sure because you have some inexpensive like basics.
I have not got and bought anything brand new that was $6.
New brand.
Yeah, with the tag on it that was $6. That shit looked fresh. If I bought something $6, it was secondhand.
I would agree.
Yes.
I would agree. I would say that you even some of your basic tees and basic clothing are still like not inexpensive, but not expensive.
Not for no $6.
Yeah, definitely not. Okay, so Wet Seal. I have 3 others that I'm gonna kind of go through really quick so that we can get Mr. Jones says I'm shutting the fuck up on this one. Yeah, right. Because I actually want to get to our top 5 for tonight. So I'm going to go through the next.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm going to go through the next 3 kind of quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on them. So the next one is American Apparel. Now, if you're not familiar with American Apparel, it was a clothing brand that sold solely basics. So a lot of their clothing was just very basic. It was just like pants, shirts, dress. No really, there was no like big designs on it. It was just like basic t-shirts, basic pants, but they were very well made. I will say that because I own a few American Apparel pieces.
Right.
But the catch was they were fucking expensive as hell. And I own And I own a pair of American Apparel disco pants, which are pants that are very skin tight, shiny, but they're high waisted. And they're called disco pants because they come, like, the style comes from the 90s, from the disco era. I paid fucking $85 for those goddamn pants. Come to find out that American Apparel is still available online. It's just basically an e-commerce now. There are no stores. I then went to their website just to see what they had to offer, and they still have the disco pants on their website. I click on it. You actually can't purchase anything on their website through their website. When you click buy now, it takes you to fucking Amazon.
What?
Yeah, American Apparel, they have a website, but when you want to buy their clothing, it takes you to Amazon, and you buy their clothing through Amazon. But when I tell you that a pair of pants that I bought for $85 is now selling for $15 on Amazon,
Oof.
but still the American Apparel brand, I don't know how they're functioning, because their claim is that their clothes are sustainable, and their clothes are also not made from sweatshops. So they're still making clothes that they're paying their workers a proper wage. And they're sustainable clothing, which means that they're made from, like, sustainable materials and, like, whatever it may be. That being said, how are these pants now $15 versus $85? I'm just assuming that there was a huge markup at the time.
Where did you buy them?
I bought them at the American Apparel store in Garden State Plaza Mall.
How long ago was this?
I'm not going to tell you how long ago.
Okay, so it was a long time ago. All right. So here's what I get from what you're saying. As soon as American Apparel they left the malls, they have become what. So when you sell on Amazon, you can either have Amazon hold your product for you, and they stock it and they pack it and they ship it all for you for a small fee, or you can do it all yourself. I'm sure after closing all the malls and stores and everything like that, American Apparel they just have an Amazon store. And they send the stuff from their manufacturer over to Amazon. Amazon holds all that stuff, and they just run all their orders through Amazon. Amazon stores it, packs it, ships it, deals with the returns, and they don't got to worry about nothing.
I mean, I can understand how that would be so. I just find it so interesting that American Apparel was actually one of those stores, like, I felt like Delia's. For a moment in time, I felt like I didn't belong in that store. I felt like it wasn't marketed to me. There was nothing about the store that I found appealing, until one day a coworker of mine was like, hey, you want to, no, I'm lying. I'm 100% lying. You and I were actually in the mall together, and we were walking past an American Apparel store in Menlo Park Mall, and I saw a dress that I was like, I want that dress. And it was the asymmetrical dress that I still own it. It's just, it's like here on this side, and it goes down this way. And it was just plain black. It was so well made. And I wore the hell out of that dress. And it was $65 for just a plain black fucking dress. 100% cotton. I love that dress. And then I became somewhat familiar with the American Apparel brand through that. But even being in there, their clothes were also... A size 2 was really a size 0. Like, their clothing ran weird. That being said, I stood away from the store for a while until a coworker of mine, which became a good friend of mine, she then went into the store, and then I went into the store, and then that's how that whole thing happened. But they no longer exist. They're online only. You could buy their shit for now for like 70% off of what I used to buy it at.
When you have a bunch of retail stores, I would hope that you would pass the savings on to your consumers.
Well, Mr. Jones says, I bought some white tees from the dollar store, and them shits look see-through. I'm trying to be on some Prince shit.
Yo, for real. That's what happens when you buy some cheap-ass white tees.
Right?
You can see right through them shits.
So I have 2 more stores. Actually, just 1 more store, because the other store is like, there was only very few of them. So the last store, I actually have quite sentimental value to this store. You found it in some malls, not in all malls. It actually was a store that you could find more so in shopping centers. But they were in malls, because I remember specifically going to a mall. A couple malls had these, and it was Payless. And the reason why I have sentimental value to Payless is because I was a single mom with 2 boys, and their sneakers were very affordable, and both of my boys were active skaters, and they had this one particular line in Payless called Airwalks, and they were the skater sneaker of Payless, and I used to buy them for my sons. And luckily, I'm so happy to say that my boys were very non name brand caring. Like
Right.
they were just like, oh, these are sneakers, great, I'll put them on, like I don't even care. I would say that even if they knew that it wasn't something that necessarily wasn't in style, they didn't give a shit, they still wore it. And both of our sons wore Airwalks for quite some time,
For real.
until they got pretty, I want to say until they got into their teens, where they were just like,
But
I kind of want
It
this
was kind
sneaker.
of fitting into their style though at the time, because
Yeah.
they were into like skating and
Yeah, and they
you
were
know,
wearing like Tony Hawk and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But even when they got older, they would ask for sneakers that were non-Payless sneakers, and they still weren't like expensive.
Right.
Like I think they graduated to Vans after that, and then it was just like, oh, okay, so we went from 30 to 60. It wasn't like they wanted like $200 Jordans.
Right.
So I hold a sentimental value to Payless, and to be honest, a lot of my like first shoes for like work, when I worked in like the office environment, I bought from Payless. Like I didn't have a lot of money. I was a single mom. Like I did not have that purse. So I went to Payless, and I had no fucking shame in my game. So when I saw that Payless was closing and they filed bankruptcy, I was sad. You can actually still buy they are e-commerce. I went on their website to see what they had. And sadly, I would probably never buy any of their shoes online because they're so inexpensive. And there are stores that I frequent currently that I could probably get the same thing, probably even a little bit better. And it makes no sense for me to buy online anymore. But I feel like I'm sad because it's an era that once was part of my life and now is gone.
Yeah.
So
It is what it is.
that's all I got to say about that. And Mr. Jones says, American Apparel and Aeropostale was my spot. So he said American Eagle and Aeropostale. Aeropostale was my shit. And that was a clothing line that I felt like appealed to women and men. And you could actually wear, the girls could wear guy stuff, and it like didn't really matter. But they're both still around, and they're both still doing very well. And hello, Sonia. Welcome to the stream. So it currently is 9:12. So we have about 15 minutes to run through our top 5 for the night.
Right.
And since we've been talking about clothing brands and stores in malls, we decided what better to like keep this fucking mall shit going.
With the top 5 best mall junk foods.
I just want to say, full disclosure, I got this idea the other day. I went to the mall and I passed a particular mall food area, and I walked past that shit and I was like, I need to keep walking, because that shit just took a hold of me, and I was like, I cannot eat that, I have to keep going. And I was like, oh, we should talk about mall foods. Remember I called you and I was like, oh, I just left the mall. And
I mean, that was the thing to do. You know, you would go to the mall, you would do a little shopping, and then eat some mall food, and then go home.
So when I smelled this smell, I was like, oh, we need to talk about this. So take us into our top 5 for tonight,
so
Evo.
Coming in at number 5 is
For top 5 best mall junk foods
is Nathan's hot dogs, and in particular Nathan's cheese fries with the lemonade.
I'm not even actually going to Nathan's for the hot dogs. I'm going for the cheese fries.
You know what? I used to get the combo. I would get the
Really?
I would get the hot dogs with the cheese fries and the lemonade.
I actually don't think that I've ever ate a Nathan hot dog from Nathan's in a mall. The only time I ever ate a Nathan's hot dog was in Coney Island.
If you're gonna get a hot dog at the mall, it better be Nathan's. Like, if you get anything else from anywhere else, you got problems.
I actually just read a statistic that says every time you eat a hot dog, it takes off like 30% of your life.
Really? Damn.
Well, because it's such processed meat, and it's
I
byproduct.
ate so many hot dogs in my life.
I know, but I think we're doing better now. I think it's almost near a decade since we've
It's been
eaten a
long
hot
time.
dog.
Hopefully, like it filtered its way out.
But
then.
just real talk, I would still fuck up those cheese fries to this day.
Yo, with that
Me and
with
my
that
best
mystery
friend,
cheese,
me and my best friend Eva we would go to Nathan's just for those cheese fries. We would text each other. She'd be like, "Yo, I don't even need to go for the mall for
I don't even think
anything."
it was the fries. I feel like it was the cheese.
I don't know what it was, but I will say, did I enjoy eating those fries with those little ass forks?
Of
Like,
course.
it was
that was
part
part
of
of
the
the experience.
experience.
Yes.
That was part of the experience. And you would get a lemonade, and I just felt like I was that boss bitch. It was, matter of fact, we're talking about cheese fries here. Oh my god.
All right.
We need to get off this.
Yeah.
Let's go to number 4 because
disco fries is where it's at.
I'm dipping into memory right now. Well, we talked about disco fries one time before. We talked about diner food.
You cannot get disco fries at the mall, so that's why it's not on this list. But coming in at number 4 is Sbarro's. Sbarro's pizza.
I feel like you have a nostalgia tie to this.
You know what? I do because so I used to work at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
I actually worked at a couple malls, and
oh my god, you and I both.
One thing that I used to like to eat at that time was Italian food, and you could not get good Italian food at the mall.
You couldn't get anything good at the mall.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously there was some great mall junk foods, but
it was junk food. It wasn't good food.
But at the end of the day, if you really wanted some Italian food, you were going to Sbarro's, because they had the little buffet area where they had the spaghetti and meatballs, they had the ziti, they had different, obviously, all different types of pizzas. It was like a pizzeria, an actual pizzeria.
In a mall. Which made you feel like you were eating real food?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I totally get that.
It was at that Mall 52 fake out that you got where you thought you were eating something authentic, but it was really just some mall bullshit.
Anytime I ever ate at Sbarro's, I never ate the sliced pizza. I always got the Sicilian.
You said Sbarro's?
Sbarro's.
You said Sbarro's.
I don't know what the fuck I said. Doesn't matter.
It's Sbarro. It's
Sbarro's?
Sbarro.
I would only get the Sicilian slices because the sliced pizza was not good.
Yeah, I think
I'm
I had
a
one
New
of
Yorker,
everything.
and I am I critique hard on pizza. So if I can't get a sliced pizza the way that I like it, I will then opt for the Sicilian slice.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even the Sicilian slices at a non-real New York pizzeria are somewhat decent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why. Side note, I used to work at Uno's Pizzeria as a waitress a long time ago. And their deep dish pizza was the shit, or their pan pizza, whatever the fuck you wanted to call it, but you had to get it with no oil. That was the trick. Because the oil, or little oil, because otherwise it would become saturated in oil, and I hated it. But because I worked there, I kind of knew that. And I went to the supermarket the other day and I saw it in the freezer section. I don't know where there's an Uno's Pizzeria anymore. Even though today on my way to go drop off our cat to the veterinarian, I drove past a Pizza Hut. And I'm not even going to front. Did I almost pull into the parking lot?
What? Really? I was never a Pizza Hut fan. Pizza Hut wasn't my shit.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Okay, let's move to our number 3.
You know this. And you know this, man. All right, coming in at number 3 is Sarku Japan's.
Now, real talk. Sarku Japan took care of me for about 7 years.
So, for those of you that don't know, Sarku Japan is that Asian.
It's Japanese.
Okay, so that Japanese food place in the mall that had the person outside with the sample platter.
What?
Yes. So you may have not known that you were passing by Sarku's, but you definitely remember when you were walking by the food court.
And you got a sample of the
you
chicken
got a sample
teriyaki?
of some type of chicken, whether it was teriyaki, orange, or whatever the hell they were trying to.
No, they only did teriyaki.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I felt like I had multiple varieties.
Orange chicken is not Japanese.
I felt like I've had multiple varieties of. Okay, so maybe it was teriyaki chicken the whole time, but that was that spot. And if you ate the chicken and you liked it and you stopped and you got a whole platter, then you experienced.
It was $5.95 for the chicken teriyaki with the white rice with the vegetables. The amount of times that I have eaten that platter in my life, I'm probably ashamed to say that. Yeah. I used to fuck that shit up when I worked at the mall.
You definitely got
$5.95, and I used to bring my own water.
That's where
from
you
home.
got your bang for your buck at the mall. For sure.
Okay.
In the food court.
My father, when I tell you my dad used to love Sarku. He used to drive to our house. We used to go to the mall. See, maybe you don't remember this. Him, me, and my brother. He would order for all three of us, and then he would take a freaking dish home. He would order another one because it was only $6. And you know my father is all about that.
Yeah,
like,
trying to get that deal.
He's like $6. So if I get 4 of these, it's only $24, and I'm getting enough food to feed all three of my kids with potentially
and take some food home
with potentially some leftovers. And then if we had any leftovers, we would scoop it into his. Because you know that's how my father rolls.
That's how your father does.
But I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot how to save from him. What time is it right now? Good. We're doing good. 9:20. I'm always so proud of us when we're on time, because when we run over, which I think we've been doing an excellent job on that lately, and you know, it's important to me that we stay on schedule. So let's move on to our. We at number two.
Number 2. Yeah. So coming in at number 2.
Number 2 for the top 5 mall best junk food.
Yeah, this one right here, it kind of hits close to home for me.
Okay.
Cause I used to really like be at this spot, and I used to always be looking out. Cause like every once in a while they would like kind of mix it up and come out with some like new variation of what it is that they specialized in. And this small junk food is Aunt Annie's.
Okay. At the last place that I worked at, my last regular schmegular job, because I'm currently self-employed, outside of my store, about 2 feet to the left was an Aunt Annie's. Do you want to talk about being tortured from this smell all day long? Because when you go to the mall, and the mall opens at 10 a.m., Aunt Annie's opens at 10 a.m.
Right.
So I'm smelling pretzels from 10 to whatever the time my shift is over.
I never even knew you could mix pretzels with cinnamon until Aunt Annie's did that shit. And then they had the different dipping sauces. What?
I used to get the I think they were like the garlic pretzels.
Yeah, they had garlic pretzels, regular
and then
pretzels.
with the cheese.
They had the ones with the hot dogs inside of them.
I didn't do the hot dog ones.
I did those. I did them all.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
Of course you did. I love you for that though. You have taken about, I don't know, 300% of your life off.
Yeah. I'm definitely. I'm going. I'm checking in early. This for sure.
Don't say that.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
No.
I don't know. For all the decisions I made in my life,
just make sure you get life insurance.
I definitely gave up a couple years. For sure.
Evo has taken about 300% of his life off from all the shit that he's eating. He still daydreams about some of that shit.
I definitely do.
Okay. Let's roll into our number 1.
Coming in at number 1.
And look, I just looked at the video feed and our cat almost
strong.
Number 1,
Shit
top 5
muscles.
mall best junk food.
Listen, if this is not on your top list of mall junk foods, then I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Then where you at?
Where the hell are you at? All right, Cinnabon in the goddamn house.
Now, my question to you is: when you say Cinnabon, are you eating the regular size or are you doing the mini?
I do the big one.
Okay.
And I'm eating it. I'm taking it to the face. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. I don't care where you got. If you ever had a Cinnabon in your life, it's never been like the Cinnabon that you get at the mall.
I would 1000% agree.
It's not gonna happen. Yeah.
I could never do the full Cinnabon. I always had to do the mini.
What?
A full Cinnabon would make me sick.
Really?
Yeah, Evo, you are double the size that I am.
I'm fucking that shit up.
Yeah, no, that's you. That's not me. I can't do that. But I would always have to get the mini. And real talk, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I used to drink it with milk. Regular ass milk.
Nah, I raw dog that shit.
Oh, okay. I think it's time for us to sign off the live right now because Evo just said that he's raw dogging Cinnabons.
When there's no chaser, no milk, no nothing.
Oh, my God.
Just give me that straight Cinnabon with all that icing on top. And I would just peel it back layer by layer. And just...
I used to eat it with a fork and a knife.
No, fingers.
Okay. This is why I love you. I want to thank you again for another great live. I had so much fun with you tonight and so much fun with everybody in the audience. And if you're still tuning in, we have a donation at the top if you would like to donate to Shit Talk Fridays to keep us going, because this is fully funded by Evo and I's pockets. And we would love to continue to be here for you. And we appreciate all the likes that we see tonight here on the live.
Yes, you guys definitely showed up with the likes tonight.
Showed up tonight, and we appreciate it. So until next Friday, We will. So next Friday is going to be. Let me just look at the dates really quick because I actually think that we're not going to be here one Friday in September for our son's birthday. And I just want, which would be September.
Later in the month.
Yeah, will be September 24th. But I would just like to just give people a heads up of that ahead of time. So okay, so you got us for the next 2 Fridays, the 10th and the 17th, and then the 24th we will not be with you. We will be celebrating our son's 19th birthday. I'm actually pretty excited about that because actually he's never asked for a party before, so I think we're kind of gonna go all out for him.
We're gonna get litty.
Who's we?
We, me and you.
All right. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night.
Until
Happy
next
Friday,
week.
and see you next Friday.
Peace out.
Peace out.